FNAF Animatronics are literally the whole reason for the series. They are the reason it got so popular, and even if William is their in-universe reason for being possessed, without them we wouldn't have the series we love and are constantly frustrated by. But with so much mystery and so many animatronics comes a lot of questions and a lot of potential answers. Those are what we're exploring today. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe and this is the Top 10 Scary FNAF Animatronic Theories. Let's do it. And at 10, who was the first? The first victim who possesses an animatronic is a question we all thought we knew the answer to. Multiple times, actually. Since at first we thought it was the puppet, which is understandable, since from the beginning the puppet has really been guiding the other animatronics and trying to bring them to a peaceful rest, like we see in the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3. And we stuck with this assumption until Ultimate Custom Night came along and blew our brains out with this one simple line. Quote, "I was the first. I have seen everything." That line, while becoming a bit of a meme, at least on this channel, has caused us to think that now maybe Chica, or I guess Susie, was the first victim. This could be the case, however some would argue that this only means that she was the first of the missing children rather than the first victim of William Afton, which also makes sense and makes things cleaner in my opinion, because like, why would the puppet be so special if they weren't the first? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. And at 9, Baby is the villain. After FNAF 6, you'd think that Baby would be done for, kaput, destroyed, burned in the eternal fire. Yet in Fazbear Frights we end up seeing the return of Baby and even as the villain, helping her father but then bailing once she realizes that he was about to lose. So some believe that perhaps the scrap Baby we see in FNAF 6 was either not the true Elizabeth Afton, or that some of her remnants still exists out there, like the FNAF version of a Horcrux, allowing her to continue living, even if most of her is destroyed. Which honestly, for this series doesn't sound too far-fetched anymore. But that also brings up an interesting point. Would that actually work? Like, is it like a supernatural ghost where you need to burn all the remnants of the body to get rid of the spirit? Or if most of the remnant is destroyed, is that good enough? And if Baby does return, will she be like her father and become the new main villain? After all, we hear Elizabeth say that she wanted to make her daddy proud in FNAF 6's ending speech. Also, by the way, if you call anyone daddy, they're allowed to write you as a dependent on their taxes. And at 8, Secret Animatronics. Are there characters in the FNAF world that are secretly animatronics? It's a question we didn't really think we'd have to ask, but then came in the novels with the revelation that the main character has been a robot this whole time and didn't even know it herself, which is absolutely insane. And not only that, but the latest Fazbear Frights book called Friendly Faces also introduces a similar idea, where in an attempt to resurrect a dead friend, someone sends their cat's hair to Fazbear Entertainment to purchase a robotic version of this pet, even if it goes horribly wrong. Either way, could there secretly be characters in the FNAF series that are already robots? Phone Guy, our player character, maybe characters we haven't even really met, like the mother of the Afton kids. Could she have just been a fake mother and William adopted his kids? Could Henry secretly be an animatronic? It's a question that we will never really have an answer to, but my guess is probably not. Well, unless it's Michael. And it's 7, Out of Control. This may sound insane, but could the animatronics actually know what they're doing, or could this just be their agony acting out? Quote from Dr. Phineas Taggart from Fazbear Frights Book 3, 1:35 AM's epilogue. Quote, that you can take a saturation of agony, add any kind of intelligence, even an artificial one, and they will combine together to transmute the energy of emotion into the energy of physical action. So it seems that Phineas believes that the emotion is what dictates the actions, hence why transmuting the emotion into physical action, not even the individual who the emotions came from. This could explain the rash behavior of the animatronics and why they seem like they're in pain. It's not the children necessarily controlling them, it's their agony. The actual spirits don't have any reasoning behind their movements, they just do what they do. That's why Elizabeth wants to make her dad proud. Because while in agony, we can't really think straight, we're impulsive creatures. It's our animalistic nature. That's what's going on with these animatronics. And we know that Phineas must have been right since he proves his thesis by creating the Stitch Wraith, which promptly kills him because it's full of agony of multiple different things, not a single person. That also explains why all of a sudden these kids that possess these animatronics are capable of murder. Hot damn. And at 6, sound discs. The sound discs that use frequency to modify what you see have seemingly appeared in the game world before. We guessed that they were on the Funtime Animatronics, thanks to Funtime Freddy Repairs section, where you must remove the power module from his chest. But what could this disc be doing? Why would it need to be there? Some consider this proof that the twisted animatronics exist in the game world, and this is backed up by the pile of dirt that you can see at the Midnight Motorist minigame. However, some also believe that this pins the Funtime Animatronics as the twisted ones, which could make sense, given that below Ballora is an absolute nightmare with a dump truck the size of Texas. But the fact that she walks on all fours despite being a ballerina is concerning to say the least. What do you think? Are the Funtime animatronics the twisted ones, or was that disc really just a power module? And if it was, why is Afton using it to power animatronics and not make millions powering the world as well? If you have money, you can do whatever you want. You wouldn't have to worry about the cops. Just saying. Halfway through and at number 5, Bonnie is Freddy. There are some FNAF community members who seem to think that Bonnie looks awfully similar to Freddy, and it's something that I kind of picked up on as well during my analysis of the FNAF 3 bad ending. Their facial structure is relatively similar, especially when compared to Chica or Foxy's. But why could this be? Well, probably because of FNAF 2. The withered animatronics are meant to be the original ones, however, Bonnie's is missing his face. It's believed that when FNAF 2 ends and the toy animatronics are scrapped, they repair the originals, hence why we can see them in the first FNAF game. But since Bonnie is missing his face, they have to make a new one, and they use Freddy's face as a form of template to recreate the Bonnie one. So that's why they have some features that look the same or have, I guess, an essence of Freddy. I mean, it could absolutely be what happened, given that the toy version of Bonnie is so different from the original. But I mean, it's probably just because a similar model was used, or that they were made by the same guy. That would also make a lot of sense. And at 4, Shadow Animatronics. There are quite a few theories revolving around the Shadow Animatronics first introduced in FNAF 2. We don't quite know exactly what they are, or why they guide us around FNAF 3's minigames, but multiple people have come up with potential answers. The most common one being that they are Springlock victims, that employees wore the Spring Bonnie and Spring Freddy suits and were subjected to a Springlock failure that killed them, because, you know, that's usually what happens unless you're possessed by one of your victims. But that doesn't really explain why they don't possess the animatronics and rather create shadow versions. Another is that they're actually the ejected souls of other possessed animatronics. For example, that Shadow Freddy is actually the soul of Crying Child, who was pushed out of Golden Freddy when William killed Cassidy. But we are unsure of who Shadow Bonnie would actually be, especially given their appearance across multiple games, because, you know, Shadow Bonnie still appears in FNAF AR. And one final theory is that these are different emotions, since we learned that what we call possession in the FNAF universe is actually the extreme power of Agony latching onto objects and not letting go. Like I said, thanks to Dr. Phineas Taggart in the Fazbear Frights epilogues. What do you think the Shadow Animatronics are though? Be sure you let me know down below. I personally think that it's other emotions, but that would also have to be a retcon since Scott wouldn't really know about that when they were added in the first place, but hey, it's an explanation. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Afton Robotics. Could the entire Afton family be robots? Well, at least not at first, but at the end they most certainly were. Mrs. Afton, or the baby mama, ended up becoming Ballora. Maybe not in a literal sense, because Ballora doesn't really appear to be possessed, but Ballora is certainly meant to represent the mother or be a surrogate mother after her death or divorce. Elizabeth gets turned into baby after getting scooped and possessing her, which is evident based on her changing eye color. Michael at the very least gets stuffed with Ennard if he wasn't a robot from the beginning, much like Charlie from the FNAF novels. Crying Child gets put in the hospital by Fredbear that has the plug pulled on him, meaning that he was being kept alive by machines, but also William says that he will put him back together, which could mean becoming a robot. And William himself. He becomes not only Springtrap, getting shoved full of metal parts, but also seemingly becoming a full robot at the end of the Security Breach gameplay trailer. So could this be what the games were about all along? AI taking over in a way. Penultimately, and at number 2, Jacko Origins. I love Grim Foxy. He's my favorite animatronic, especially design-wise. But what the hell is up with him and the couple other Jacko versions of the animatronics? And why doesn't Freddy have one? There has to be some form of explanation about it, I just can't figure out what it is. It could be that they were made for the Halloween festival we see in FNAF VR's Curse of Dreadbear expansion, but if that was the case, why were Jacko, Chica, and Bonnie introduced in FNAF 4's Halloween edition? I mean, like, I know that the actual real-world reason is because it was the Halloween edition, but come on, there has to be an in-universe reason. Especially since they were created in Crying Child's mind, at least to start with, and then were moved into not only Ultimate Custom Night, but FNAF VR as well. Like, how on earth did that happen? Who had to pull these strings to not only make these characters, but also get the idea from Crying Child's brain? Finally, in at number 1, the first. Some of the first animatronics built by William Afton featured claw mechanisms that were able to hide away items inside them. This line comes from the recently revealed unused fast facts list from FNAF AR's files. And honestly, this is one of the best fast facts we got, because thanks to this line, we know that William intended on killing even before acquiring Fredbear's Family Diner, or at least around the same time, since that was the first location, and the only animatronics we've seen with claw mechanisms are the ones from Sister Location. Baby is the only one we actually see use the claw, but with containment chambers being present in the others, we can assume the Fun Times also have them as well, which means that the Fun Times were made before they opened the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, or around the same time before 1983 when William's kids got snatched. Hence why William was able to open up Circus Baby so quickly when he learned that Fazbear's was going to close. I mean, it was also obvious just based on the fact that his kids got snatched by a Funtime animatronic, since, you know, if you start killing because your kids die, why would you build robots to kill before they died? But still, it's an interesting line that makes for some interesting theory fodder. And there we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF animatronic theories. These were more general and not about specific characters for the most part, since you can't really make a whole list on some of these topics, but it's still interesting to talk about nonetheless. What was your favorite theory from today, and what opinions do you have about them? Be sure you let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been Ed Showerman Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.